Hi everyone. So as your usage increases on Bitscale, it's natural that you would want to understand what are the best ways in which you can leverage the platform to its maximum, right? So in this video, I just want to share a few best practices that we have come up across while building the platform and also while discussing with our users. This is sort of like a starter set, and there might be a few more that we might add later, or if you have any specific question regarding your current setup, you can always discuss that with us, right? So first thing first, as you know, you can set up grids and workbooks on the platform, and often you will come across a scenario where you would create a single workbook which acts sort of like a template, and then you might want to create a copy of those workbooks for your day-to-day activity. An example that we let's consider this workbook. I think this is a sample workbook that we have currently, and you can duplicate the workbook just by clicking on this, right? So what people would tend to do is they'll just duplicate that, and then they'll just rename it in a way where you can actually maintain some context as to what kind of workbook it was, who was using it, and when was it run. So something like the date, like today is 13th of March, so 13th March, aging, something like that. So if someone else is actually utilizing your workspace or working on the platform, they'll have a context. Okay, this workbook that is being used or is being run has been set up by AJ, and it was set up on 13th March. Now, continuing on this logic, you would want to keep your original workbook sacrosanct, right? Because there is a chance that while setting up or making some changes to my instance, I might make some changes to the original workbook, and someone else who might want to use that original workbook later, this will cause issues for, right? So to prevent that, I would recommend starring these workbooks or grids so that they're available in the start section right here, as you can see. And you can sort of have it be maintained across your team that whenever you are using any start workbook, create a copy of it first, rename the copy depending on who is using and when it's being set up, and then make your respective changes in that copy itself. So that is the first best practice that I would recommend to users, right? All right. So the next thing which you can, I think, utilize on the platform, it's not quite visible to a lot of users, is the fact that when you're doing manual prospecting, right, you can actually use our Find People tab right here to straight away get the phone numbers and emails, right? So for example, I'll just pass Adarsh Bitscale.ai here, retrieve the results. So you would see, you will get my data entry, whatever. And now you would have an option to access my email or phone number here itself, right? So any kind of LinkedIn prospecting that you're doing and you find a relevant profile, you can just enter their details here, and then you can straight away access their email or phone if you're in a hurry. I'll just show you that how that works as well. I'll just click on access phone and access email. All right, perfect. And these are actually my phone number and email ID. So this works well, right? All right. Another best practice that I would recommend that you guys maintain is the fact that in a single grid, only maintain one type of data. So as you know, you can have multiple data sources on Bitscale. If you go to load data here, you can add more data sources from here. It could be a CSV or our internal database, your CRM and whatnot. But what we recommend is to always have only one type of data in a single grid. So for example, if a grid is operating on company level data, it's doing some kind of account research and so on, only maintain company level data in that grid. And if you want to utilize person level data, contact level data, or maybe have some use case surrounding that, you can always reference the company data either via a VLOOKUP, which I'll show you later in this video as well, or you can simply, if you're finding those contacts in the grid itself, you can pass the relevant context along with those contacts, which is also something that I'll be showing you in this video. All right. So another best practice which we would recommend is whenever you're finding contacts from a company. So let's imagine that you have already found some accounts that you want to reach out to and you want to find contacts. So if you head over to enrichment here and go to find people from company, you will notice that there's a limit of 25 fetch per account. So there might be scenarios, in most cases this is ample, but there might be scenarios in which you would want more than 25 contacts for an account spread across different personas, demographics, etc. So what we recommend in this scenario is for each subset of those demographics, you can set up a separate find people from company. For example, if I want to reach out to GTM folks, right? So I'll just create one called GTM folks US. All right. And then I'll click on suggested titles and I can just add all of these values as relevant. Okay, this is also a best practice. So whenever you have a persona and you want to increase the spread of people that you want to reach out to, you can just click on what they call suggested titles, and then you'll have a list of that available. I'll just add these to the list as well, and I'll add the location as United States and save. Will run. Alright, found 2 contacts. Alright, and now maybe I want to set the same up for India as well, right? So we'll click on this column, right click actually, click on duplicate column, and then I'll make a few changes here. Is go to locations, click. Alright, and I found 26 contacts from India, right? So this is how you can split your demograph and maintain them as separate columns. And then once you have these values available, you can and should write them into a separate grid. So what I've seen a lot of people doing is they go to profiles and then we'll just add each of these as a value and then maintain 25 cross 3 columns, like 75 columns, just to visualize who's working where, which is not really required since we allow for you to push all of these entries, the company level entries, along with the contact level data into the contact grid. So you can maintain each contact in a separate row with its company level enrichments that you did earlier, right? So you do not have to maintain them in a single grid. So how you can do that is click on export leads, create a new target grid, and then select whatever company level data you want to push along with it. So I'll just select name and LinkedIn URL here, save. And now when I run this, it will push all of these 25 rows into this new grid that was created. And now you can add all of the values that you pulled in as a fresh columns. First name, last name, every contact level data, and the company level information that you had pulled in earlier. You'll find that in the other section here. So we'll add that as a column as well. All right. So this is how you can do that. Right. The third thing, let's imagine maybe that these 2 grids were not connected for, in some case, right? And you would want that I want to get the company LinkedIn URL. I just have the company name now. I'll just delete this for now. Okay, so maybe let's imagine a scenario where you want to get the company level URL for company available in name 1. What do? Right? So what you can do is very simply go to add column, add enrichment, data toolkit, VLOOKUP, and then look up the value that you want to get from the other grid. So for example, I just set up a match name 1 inside. This is called company lookalikes export with name 1. Oh, sorry. This would be company lookalikes grid. Yes. With name. Because this grid is anyways company lookalikes export, right? So we want to find the other grid where we want to do the matching, where values are exactly same. And then we'll have an option of fetching whatever columns that we want to fetch, right? So I'll just pull in the LinkedIn URL, save, and run it for the first 10 rows. And yeah, I should have the LinkedIn URL for all of these. So this is another way in which you can cross-reference data between grids. As long as there's this common column value available, you can pull in data from another grid into this grid as well, which actually solves a lot of problems that you guys might be having. Next best practice would be, if you're trying to find out emails and phone numbers, please have the validation on if you want to avoid the bounce rate, right? So if you go to tweak here, go to validate, you can switch on any provider you want. If you have your own provider, we recommend use your own provider, have its API key available and connect that here. No worries at all. But do have a validator available, because that's the best way in which you can reduce the bounce rates and have your entire GTM like process be as seamless as possible, right? So we'll just set up find email here, save, and when I run this, I'll get, all right. So for the 10, we found 8 valid emails, 1 invalid, and for 1, we did not find any email. So in this way, you can avoid reaching out to these 2 people and actually do the reach out to these 8 people, which have a higher chance of actually responding, and since they'll receive the said email, right? So that is always recommended. Same is the case for phone numbers as well, which you can leverage. Another thing which is like super helpful and super important actually is the fact that you can actually create column templates, right? So you already have a few pre-created templates here, right? This is something that we have created. These might contain HTTP API calls, some preset prompts, ICP tracking, etc. But obviously for everyone's, their use case might vary. So whatever your use case is, for example, when we had previously set up this GTM folks US find people, and you might want to maintain the same filters across grids, you can simply head over to tweak section here and click on save as template. This will allow you to create the template, and I'll just call it US based ICP filter and put some description, blah, blah. And when you save it, it will show that column template has been saved, and it should be available in the enrichment tab here, US based ICP filter. So whenever you're referencing it in any other grid, you would not have to like create this from scratch. You can just click on this and it will implement the exact same column for you. Now this is across all possible enrichments, right? We do not like curb this feature on any specific enrichment, be it web search enrichments or AI enrichments or email waterfalls or phone waterfalls. Whatever columns that you set up, you can actually save them as a template. So this is another best practice which you guys can utilize. Next is, I think one of the most commonly seen problematic things that our users are doing is they utilize our research agents for generating content. Now, this is super helpful when you do not have any input values or data points that you want to create the content around. If you're asking, if your workflows is generating content from scratch and you wanted to give it some leeway where it finds out information from multiple places and then creates content, this is amazing. This is recommended even. But for cases where you already have some data points that you want to reference, which would be the case for most of your users who are doing like some high tier GTM orchestration or reach outs, you would not want to use our research agents for that. An example of that would be, maybe you have 15 offers that you want to reference in your email outbound when you're creating your copy. You would not want to ask BitAgent to choose between those 15 offers, because BitAgent has the context of the entire web. So it might try to look for better offers or might make changes to the offer, which would not be helpful for you guys. So in those scenarios, I always recommend utilizing Claude. Now, Claude is amazing at content generation. You can use Claude Sonnet 4.6 for this. It's great. It's amazing. It will gain all of the context that you provide in your input and then create the outbound from that. So that is another best practice that I would recommend you guys use. And there are a few more best practices, but the video is already very long. Maybe I'll create another one, a follow-up one for you guys to check out. But the last and the most important best practice is, whenever you run across any issue, please reach out to us on the support button right here. Please reach out to us on the support button right here, and we would be very happy to help you out. So I guess this was it for this video. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Cheers, bye.